Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Hakim. First and foremost, call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kakwadash. And of course, double honors go out to the apostles of Great Millstone, who through the Spirit have taught all of us, all right, this truth, and who deserve double honors. This is Naaman of the DC camp. And again, this is from The Guardian, and wouldn't you know it, all right, it says U.S. ICE officers, all right, use torture to make Africans, so-called, sign on deportation orders. All right, now this has been a push uh, leading up to the elections to get certain people out of here. It says Cameroonians say officers choked, beat, and threatened to kill them as lawyers tell of pre-election removal drive. All right, all right. And it says U.S. immigration officers allegedly tortured Cameroonian asylum seekers. Now, these are people that came to the U.S. to seek asylum, all right? And you have to wonder, why don't you hear of things like this happening to people that come from, say, Europe, even so-called Asian countries, specifically Moab, all right? You don't hear anything like this, all right? But it's always a push of, and we know that these are Israelites by and large, all right? And you have what Haitians, even though you have a contradictory uh, standing with Cubans, all right? You know, once they touch dry land, they automatically got asylum. But Haitians, oh no. And you can apply this to Cameroonians and Congolese also. It's going to get to that. It says U.S. immigration officers allegedly tortured Cameroonian asylum seekers to force them to sign their own deportation orders in what lawyers and activists describe as a brutal scramble to fly so-called African migrants out of the country in the run-up to the elections. I guess they want to appear to be tough on illegal immigration. All right. Hey, that's the excuse. It says many of the Cameroonian migrants in a Mississippi detention center, oh boy, refused to sign, fearing death at the hands of Cameroonian government forces, hence why they sought asylum, responsible for widespread civilian killings, and because they had asylum hearings pending. All right. Let's see. It says, according to multiple accounts, detainees were threatened, choked, beaten, pepper sprayed, and threatened with more violence to make them sign. Several were put in handcuffs by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and their fingerprints were taken forcibly in place of a signature on documents called stipulated orders of removal, by which the asylum seekers waive their rights to further immigration hearings and accept deportation. Get a load of that. The big bad bully of the planet. Look what he's doing to people that actually came to him for help. That's why Isaiah 30 and 31 is so, because what? Israel went to seek for help from what? Egypt. From the Assyrians, right? Okay, let's get that. As soon as it loads up. Let's see. That's why there was a warning, a strict warning for this. This is Isaiah chapter 30. All right. As soon as it pops up. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, all right, which are Israelites, saith the Most High Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, and that may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth. So you didn't consider asking me first. What? To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. And that's what they do. That's what our people do. All right, go to the oppressor. All right. And as a result, This is what the Most High said, verse 3. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So I'm sure by now, a lot of them are saying, well, why the hell did we even bother to come over here? You know, like, maybe we should have took our chances, stayed at home. All right. That's the point on that. I was going to go to the next one, but, wow. The big bad bully. It says lawyers and human rights advocates said there had been a significant acceleration of deportations in recent weeks. I imagine so. A trend they see as linked to the looming elections and the possibility that ICE could soon be under new management. The abuse we are witnessing, especially right now against so-called black immigrants, isn't new, but it is escalating, said Christina Fiallo, I guess that's how you say it, executive director of the advocacy group Freedom for Immigrants. In late September, early October this year, we began to receive calls on our hotline from Cameroonian and Congolese immigrants detained in ICE prisons across the country. And they were being subjected to threats of deportation, often accompanied by physical abuse. See, it's just something about Israelites, so-called black people or black bodies that this Edomite cave beast just loved putting his hands on us. All right, he can't contain himself when it comes to that. Moving on, it says the reality is that ICE operates in the shadows. They thrive in secrecy. We know that the U.S. government is deporting key witnesses in an effort to silence survivors and absolve ICE of legal liability. A plane carrying 60 Cameroonian and 28 Congolese asylum seekers was quietly flown out of Fort Worth Alliance Airport in Texas on 13 October to deliver them to their home countries. The charter plane did not release a flight plan, but it was tracked by immigration rights group Witness at the border, which said it stopped in Senegal, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then Kenya before flying back to Texas. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So why don't you hear about, like I said at the beginning, why don't you hear about this same action being taken by these illegal European immigrants? And, why isn't someone reporting on that? You do. At least I can only speak for myself. I've never heard of such a thing. All right. It says the Cameroonian deportees were from the country's English-speaking minority, which has been the target of widespread abuses, including extrajudicial killings by government security forces seeking to crush a separatist movement. Now get a load of this. The Trump administration cut the country's trade privileges at the beginning of this year because of the persistent abuses. Yet, these people come over here to seek asylum from you, and you abuse them even more. See the hypocrisy there? Most of the deportees on the flight had testified that they had suffered detention without charge and torture at the hands of the Cameroonian military and had relatives who had been killed. They were detained for questioning on arrival in Douala, I guess that's how you say it, but some were freed after their families paid bribes and have since gone into hiding. All right, and that's pretty much, well, let's get this part. It says Cameroonian embassy in Washington did not reply to several requests for comment. Detainees and their lawyers have been told there will be another deportation flight in the coming days, possibly as early as Friday. And on this other section it says, I kept telling him I can't breathe. Cameroonians are routinely denied asylum or parole in the U.S. immigration court system, which is run by the Justice Department. Victims, family members, lawyers, and human rights activists have described a range of coercive measures used by ICE on Cameroonian detainees at the Adams County Correctional Center in Mississippi to make them sign their own deportation orders. Why am I not surprised? It's Mississippi. All right. A complaint filed by FFI and the Southern Poverty Law Center cites 8 cases of forced signatures or fingerprints on stipulated orders of removal. Wow. One of those involved, identified by the initials BJ, said that on 27 September, ICE officers pepper sprayed me in the eyes and one officer strangled me almost to the point of death. I kept telling him I can't breathe, I almost died. As a result of the physical violence, they were able to forcibly obtain my fingerprint on the document. It says another detainee known as DF said that he was ordered to sign his deportation order by an ICE agent on 28 September. I refused to sign. He pressed my neck into the floor. I said, please, I can't breathe. I lost my blood circulation. Then they took me inside with my hands on my back where there were no cameras, he said. According to his account, he was then taken to a punitive wing of the Adams County Center known as Zulu and subjected to further assault. They put me on my knees where they were torturing me and they said they were going to kill me. They took my arm and twisted it. They were putting their feet on my neck. While in Zulu, they did get my fingerprint on my deportation document and took my picture. DF was one of the detainees on the 13 October flight to Douala. It's unclear what has happened to him since. This other one, the third detainee, said some of his fingers are broken. All right, so that's pretty much on that. I'm gonna, because of time, I'll get a few more other scriptures here. Again, these things are what? Again, serve as markers. All right, as in the curses that Israel and only Israel will go through. All right, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 37. And it says, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Most High Yahweh shall lead thee. And those things serve as something to dehumanize you. All right. And this goes with how people treat you, because like if you're considered less than human, well, we can do anything with you and do what we want. All right, and then skip down to 45. It says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High your power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And here's 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Can't say that about the small hat people. All right. This is Ezekiel chapter 5. Again, this is something that the Most High did to us because of what? Disobedience. This is Ezekiel 5 and 9. It says, and I will do in thee that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all thine abominations. All right. This is last one. This is Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah chapter 24, verse 9. It says, and I will deliver them, talking about Israel, to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places, whither I shall drive them. Now let's get that reproach. All right, that's Strong's. H2781, karapa, reproach, scorn, taunt. Let's see, resting on condition of shame, which we are in, a disgrace, which we are considered. All right, an object. All right, and that's what we're looked at. See people, now what goes in Lamentations 1 and 2nd chapter, 1st and 2nd chapter, especially the second one, the people just shake their heads and So with that, once again, oops, here we are. Yep. U.S. ICE officers use torture to make Africans so-called sign on deportation orders. All right. So there you have it, the big bad bully of the earth. All right. So with that, once again, whoever views this, I hope is edified. Uh, Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Kakwadash, and of course, double honors once again to the apostles of Great Millstone. So with that, Shalom.